Yo, what's up, people? It's a Monday, so you know what that means. It's your boy Bob Rock, and this is the a live podcast for the drifters by a drifter. So, guys, how's everyone doing? How's the weekend? What you get up to? Did you hit the track? Started a new project, maybe? Got a new chassis? Perhaps you got some new upgrades. You put it on. How's that working out for you? Let us know. Let's see who we get in here. So yeah, guys, it's been so far so good. The live podcast is a little bit challenging in that I'm not quite getting the kind of audio quality I'd like to put out. And that's probably because I'm doing this in my car on the way home. But I assure you, as the days go by or as the weeks go by, I promise to give you guys a better show, a better sounding show, a better quality sounding show. So yeah, it's been fun so far. I've been getting some nice feedback from people, some nice comments. Also a little bit of crits as well, which I really appreciate, because I will never know how good or bad a show is if I don't get that kind of feedback from you guys. That's awesome, Hank. Good to hear. Good to hear. Thanks for commenting back as well. I appreciate it. I read everyone's comments, and it's nice to know you guys are keeping the RC hobby going. You know, just keep it up. Keep it up. So we had a few good episodes so far, and for today's episode, I had some really interesting, some nice comments from a very good friend of mine who I've looked up to for a while, and eventually when I went to Worlds, I managed to meet up with him. What a fantastic guy, so down to earth, and he's given me some really good ideas, so which I think would apply globally, but it's also somewhat directed at you guys across the pond there up in Europe. So we'll get into that in a little while. So to start off things, as usual, what I like to do is to first direct my conversation at the newbies, the new guys, the guys just entering the hobby, the guys who's keen on getting into the hobby, and how we can keep them in the hobby and help them grow. And perhaps with that, with the way we approach the new guys that's in the hobby, it'll encourage them to bring in their friends, or other people looking in will get encouraged by the way we treat these new guys. So it's all about how we approach them, how we speak to them, and this is coming from guys who are experienced, guys who are in the game. Yeah, you know, the thing with the new guys is that you're gonna find them asking the most silly and annoying questions that you'll come across. And you probably heard these questions over and over so many times, and we know how annoying it can be. But you know, we have a certain level of duty and obligation to still answer those questions, because this hobby we're doing is not, you must remember, it's not just for us, it's also for what we do also affects the people around us. So we must keep that in mind, that we want the new guys to stay in the hobby, because they're sort of the next generation, you know. Also the young kids, they definitely gonna react to the way we react to them or react to others. Now, if they see that we are a little bit harsh or a little bit stern, and we sort of develop these elitist cliques or this sort of high level circles that you only stick to certain people, that's kind of discouraging. So part of that conversation that we're starting off with is watching the newbies and watching the new guys coming into drift. You must have seen new guys coming to your track and they're looking a little bit awkward. They're not quite sure what to do. They put the car down and they by themselves and try and drift and not get it right. And you see them frustrated. So I'm sure you may have either been there or you must have seen this happening. So you gotta keep an eye out for these young guys, these new guys, these fresh faces. We want to help these guys. We want to encourage these guys because these are the guys that are gonna support the track. They're gonna go back home. They're gonna speak to their friends and they're gonna say, like, you know what, I just hit the local track near where I stay, and these guys are absolutely awesome. I was struggling by myself, and all these guys just came by me and they just started helping me out and getting my my car track ready, and they tuned it, and whilst they were tuning it, they were teaching me as well. This environment that we should ideally be developing at our tracks. It's the mentality of helping each other and being there for each other, because largely the RC drifting community is more than a community. It's more like a brotherhood, more like family. So we need to develop that kind of thing. It costs nothing. It costs absolutely nothing, guys. Please remember that. At one point, you didn't know something and somebody taught you. So to share that knowledge also encourages the longevity of that knowledge, and in turn helps the longevity of the hobby itself, of drifting itself. So keep that in mind the next time you see a new guy at your track, or a new guy asking for help, or anybody asking for help for that matter. So we want to see for generations and generations, guys. So it doesn't help the hobby if you hoard your knowledge. You must share your knowledge, or you must be keen to share your knowledge, even if it's a little bit. We know that drifting can get very competitive, and at times you don't want to, we want to win, so you want to give a little bit but not give everything away, and that's okay. That's okay. But you wanna see people also not struggle, and that's my personal opinion. I hate to see a fellow drifter struggle with his car, because I know what it's like, because I've been there. I've struggled horribly with my car many a time, and I've had excellent help from the guys around me. So in turn, what I do is share the knowledge. Again, we want the longevity of that of the RC drifting hobby to carry on. So watch out for the new guy at your local track. Approach him nicely. Maybe he's the kind of person that he wants to learn things by himself. He wants to rough it out a little bit. So perhaps when you approach him, just introduce yourself. Try and break the ice a little bit, make him feel comfortable, and then ask him, like, I noticed you're having some trouble with your car. Do you need some help? You want me to have a look? Try and approach him that way, instead of telling the guy straight up, dude, you know what, your track, your car is absolutely terrible. Like, what the hell are you doing? Do you even know what you're doing? Don't be aggressive with your approach. Be a little bit polite, and then just ask him, do you need some help? because some people may not want to be helped. It's strange but true. So ask him, you need some help, or ask her, you need some help. And if they want your help, they'll either say yes or no, and then you take it from there. So the next thing I want to talk about, which is somewhat related to checking the new guy out at your track, is trackside etiquette. Guys, this is a very important topic when you are at your local track. If you are new to the track, go up to the guys who run the track, or go up to the guys who you think are the regulars, and ask the guys, okay, so where are the track rules? What are the track rules? Don't just go there and assume that you know what's going on at the track. Just because you've paid your track fee doesn't give you the right to drive anyhow. And it doesn't give you and it doesn't mean that you can just it's okay for you to damage, hit the guardrails, hit the props, and no, it's fine, these guys are taking care of it, I paid my track fee, so therefore I can drift how I want to. Guys, these people who run the tracks or build the tracks have put a huge amount of effort and spent quite a bit of money, and a lot of the times it's money out of their own pocket that they spend to do up this track so that you can enjoy it. So it's really important that you pay heed and you pay attention to the track rules, where you need to put your RC gear, where's the pit area, how you treat the pit area, what are the rules when with regards to charging your batteries. Keep taking care of the area around you, taking care of your RC gear. Don't just leave it laying around, and especially drifting on the track, where you enter into the track, how you come off, what's the etiquette with if your car suddenly dies down, what's the etiquette when your battery just dies, what's the etiquette with simply stopping. Guys, you can't do that. You can't just simply stop on the track because you see somebody you can't. You got to pull off one side. You got to warn others that wait, your car is there's a breakdown with your car, it died on you all of a sudden. You got to there's a lot of track rules, different track rules that people have set in place so that you can have a better drift experience, so that the track lasts longer excuse me, so that when you're the next time you come to the track, it's not looking like it's in a terrible condition. Okay, so I'm just reading a comment here by Hank. First time he arrived at the track, he just did donuts and didn't know how to tune his chassis. And then Frank Fan, that's awesome. Frank was from SA, was from South Africa, and then he moved up to the US, and we miss him so much. Not just for his presence, but also his knowledge. He's incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to drifting and how to tune your car. Okay, so Frank came over and was a big help to him, and now he's having the time of his life. That's fantastic, Hank. I'm so happy to hear that. Frank has been incredibly helpful to anybody and everybody that's approached him. I know when I first got into drifting as well, and he came down to Durban, he's been so helpful to me, especially just showing me his chassis and what I should do and how I should build my shocks, for example. So big up to you, Frank, and big up to you, Hank. Really, that's awesome. Okay, So I just want to read another comment here from Jean-Luc. Here's a new guy that actually joined my club, the East Coast RC Drift Club. So he says, big up to you and the club. Thanks, buddy. It's been 2 weeks now since he's at the track, and everybody's been very helpful, and big ups to them too. Great track, great people. Thanks, John. You know, that's what drifting is all about. It's all about the people, and just going out there, having fun with your friends, banging the doors, getting the track. That's what it's about. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so we touched on the new guys and how we should try and be a little bit more approachable and assist them when we see them at our track. We don't want to leave a new guy standing there all awkward, looking like I don't know what the hell to do. I mean, I've been there a few times, not with drifting, with other stuff, with other hobbies that I had done previously. And you know, it's not a nice feeling, because you're standing there and you're looking around and you're not quite sure what to do. You sort of have an idea of what to do, but you don't really know what to do, and you're sort of trying to see somebody who looks kind of approachable, and you want to see somebody who's, you know, you want to ask for help, but you're not quite sure. So I'm saying the experienced guys, please look out for the new guys and see if somebody's looking a bit awkward. Approach them in a nice manner, in a warm manner, so that they'd be a little bit more open. They won't be fearful in asking questions, and just try and help them, because like I said earlier, that's going to add to the longevity of your club, of the track, and of the hobby as a whole, because that's what we want. We want to see drifting going on for generations, as I've said earlier. Then we touched on trackside etiquette. Make sure you read the rules of the track that you are visiting. Don't just go there and think that everything's okay, you can run anyhow, just because you paid your track fee. Guys, this is not on. Track owners and club organizers have spent a lot of time and money creating a track that looks good and that needs to last a long time, just for your drifting pleasure, not only for theirs but for yours. So please be mindful of the track etiquette, how to behave on the track, how to keep your area clean, making sure that all your equipment is in order, making sure that you don't just stop suddenly on the track and say hi to your friend, to your buddies, whatever. Warning people that, you know what, your car is suddenly died on you, because you must remember you're not the only one drifting on the track. And also, don't just walk on the track. God, that really grates me. Don't just walk on the track like that. Make it known that there's an issue with your car, or make the marshal, if you have a track marshal, make him aware that your car has suddenly died off, so that he and yourself can warn others that, you know what, there's a car that's on the track that stopped dead. Be careful, because as much as we want to have fun, and these are inverted commas toys, that's a separate topic I want to get into later. We have spent a lot of hard-earned money on these hobby-grade cars, and we don't just want to damage them just like that. We want to take care of them, So let's be a little bit more mindful about that, guys. So the next thing I want to talk about now is I want to get into a little bit of a debate, and I'd love to hear more from you guys about this next topic. So the next thing I want to talk about is, and not really to stir the pot, but I want to start a conversation about chassis, about rear-wheel drive chassis, because that's currently in now. That's the game. Rear-wheel drive is the game now. You want to talk about other stuff like CS? We'll have a conversation about that in the next episode. Rear-wheel drive is the game, people. It's where you want to be. It's what you want to be drifting. It's not about what the cool kids are doing now. It's not about what's the trend. It's the entire evolvement of drifting, I think, and wanting to replicate a real drifting. So rear-wheel drive has proven to be the point where you want to be drifting. So in terms of chassis, right now we have 3 dominating brands with 3 dominating chassis. You can have your own opinions, and that's awesome. But there's 3 main brands and 3 chassis currently. That's probably the way to go, and that's excluding the conversion kits and all those other stuff that we can always talk about later. So you must know already, the 3 brands I'm talking about is Yokomo, Overdose, and MST. Those are your 3 main brands at the moment. So we want to do a little comparison, or perhaps start a debate or conversation. I won't say debate, I'd say conversation about the YD2 versus the Overdose Galm, the MST RMX. So let's hear it, guys. What are you drifting with? Why are you drifting with that chassis? Is it just a preference thing, or what is it? Why do you think your chassis is better than the other 2 brands? Recently, I got myself an Overdose Galm. I've been wanting an Overdose for a really long time. A really, really long time. Sorry about that, guys. Had a poor connection there, so went on pause. For the guys that's listening, please could I ask, please share the link. Let's try and get more people listening in. So yeah, what I was saying was Overdose Galm and the YD2. I got the YD2 first, had it for a long time. Really learned all the technical side of drifting from the YD2. And then I also recently got myself the Overdose Galm, a chassis which I've wanted for like forever. I've wanted something in Overdose for a really long time, because for me, Overdose is sort of how can I put it? It's a high-end chassis. It's a high-end brand. No matter which way you look at it, it's a high-end brand. But I think ever since they came out with the Galm, it's been as a competitive chassis, I'd say it's affordable. Considering what you're getting when you're buying a chassis, I think it's worth it. So for the guys that's just listening in, we're on our sort of a third kind of topic, really, where we're having a conversation about the YD2 versus the Galm versus the MST RMX. Why have you chosen the chassis you're drifting with? Are you drifting with both chassis? Do you have all 3 maybe? So let's hear from you guys. How do you find your chassis drifting? So for me, the YD2, fantastic chassis to drift with, straight out of the box. The plastic, I had the plastic version, and then I moved up to the aluminum and carbon fiber version. Huge shout out to my boy Asif from Kuwait. That guy he's He has a heart of platinum, not even gold, platinum. He hooked me up with the SPL made YD2 with the aluminum upgrades, front to back. Geez, you know. And when I met him for the first time at Worlds, you know, you know, I don't even have the words to describe how grateful I am to this guy and what a big heart he has. And thank you again, Asif. You know, you are one in tens of billions, bro. Really. So for me, the YD2 has been really, really fantastic. It's a great chassis, straight out of the box, a manual build, stock build. It requires minimal amount of tuning to get it to run, which is fantastic, which is what you want, especially for a beginner. And then eventually I started changing one thing at a time to get the car right. And I had this thing running very smooth, right where I wanted it. Obviously, when I went to Worlds, I needed a little bit more work on it. But that was just because of my lack of experience in rear-wheel drive and a lack in knowledge on the technical side of rear-wheel drive. But once I got to Worlds, that's when everything changed. And with all the help I received, I became a much better drifter, much more knowledgeable drifter. So the YD2 is actually quite a fantastic platform to start off with and drift. I would recommend that to anybody. So I've drifted the RMX as well. I found it to be a very different chassis to drift, but different not in a bad way. It just different. It just has a different feel to it. Also, straight out the box, you can drift this thing. It handles very well, just like the YD2 handles very nicely. But for me, I'd rate the YD2 a little bit above the RMX. Just my opinion, not a fact. Everybody is different. So yeah, and currently now I'm drifting the overdose galm. Now this thing, I must say, in its base form, it comes with carbon fiber decks and very high quality plastic parts. I'd rate the plastic on the overdose higher than the Yokomo. Not that the Yokomo plastic isn't good. I found it a very high quality as well compared to other chassis I've had. But when it came to the overdose, I don't know about the rest, but for me, I found the plastic to be higher quality than the Yokomo. But you know, let's hear from you guys. What do you think? Hank again says YD2 almost fully upgraded, was recommended by others, and he's used it ever since. Can't compare to other brands because he didn't try them yet. And that, you know, and that's fair enough. Currently, like I said, like now for me, I'm driving another brand now, the Overdose brand, and so far, geez, this thing is amazing, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm having an absolute blast with the Overdose. I'm finding the IFS system very interesting though. I thought I'd have more issues with it, but so far so good. More. Okay, 1 second guys, let me just sort it out. Okay, sorry about that. I just went through the toll road and to pay the toll fees. You know how that goes. So yeah, I'm using the overdose galm at the moment now, and this thing is like another beast altogether. The layout is very different from the YD2. It's also a hell of a lot lighter than the YD2. Look, maybe it's because it's currently, it doesn't have any aluminum upgrades compared to my YD2 with almost fully aluminum upgrade. Yeah, I think it just caught me by surprise at how light it is. But you know what? Even with the electronics in there, it's actually very light. It really is a very light chassis. So it's rather interesting. I'm still trying to get used to it and tune it for my driving style. So you know, we'll just have to wait and see how well it compares. Again, like I said, the setup is quite different to what I'm used to, especially up in the front, where I'm used to the regular front shock tower and having to be able to, you know, adjust the shocks up in the front, the shock positions. So this IFS system, I think, takes a little bit of time to get used to if you haven't used that system before. So very interesting, very, very interesting. So yeah, I'd like to, currently we talk, for the guys that just joined in, we're talking about rear-wheel drive chassis. We're having a conversation about the current main brands out there in the rear-wheel drive world, which is the Yokomo YD2, the Overdose galm, versus the RMX. I know there's other brands. You got the Usukani PDS. There's the D-like hybrid. Oh, that's a whole nother ball game altogether. If you are looking for the realistic or realism out of rear wheel drive, if you are aiming for hyper realism, I won't say hyper realism, I think that's going too far, but trying to get that realistic drifting out of your car, a D-like hybrid, the RER hybrid, is the way to go. And with the recent introduction from D-like with the multi-link system, it's taken the hybrid to new levels that we haven't seen before. Now, I'd like to talk about the RER hybrid, but that's a whole separate conversation altogether. It's not quite a competitive chassis, but we'll get into that in another episode. So yeah, we have, you know, let's hear what you guys think about your chassis. What do you think about the MSCR? Is it better than the YD2? Is it better than the Overdose galm? Is your Yoko better than the galm? Is the galm better than the Yoko? I want to hear your opinions. What do you think about it? What are you driving? Are you tried all three? You know, let us know in the comments, and let's have a conversation about that. Let's just see. It's not to say that one's better or the other. It's just, let's hear your opinions. Your feedback matters. So I'm very interested to hear from you. So let's hear it. So the next thing attached to that, we can start looking at your rear-wheel drive chassis. From ready to run, your kits or your ready to run kits, right up to having these chassis running a fully upgraded, fully hopped up chassis. So if you're just starting out in the hobby and you want to get something going, an RCR kit is actually quite a good way to start. It gives you everything that you need all in one, with the freedom to sort of make your adjustments here and there and get you going. It's also you will be able to upgrade as you upgrade your skill. So you should ideally, as a newbie, you should look at something like that. Start off small. Don't go wild and crazy at first. Start off, take it easy, watch what the other guys are using, and then pick up from there. Obviously your RCR kits are a lot cheaper than a fully hopped chassis, so always look into your budget. Your fully upgraded chassis, guys, you don't necessarily need all of the hop-ups. As you progress in your RC drifting career, you will notice for yourself that some of the upgrades are not really required, and just add weight that sometimes you don't need. However, at the same time, if you are somebody who's particular about the equipment they use, and you like your bling, you're a bling kind of guy, you're a collector perhaps, and you want to go for every single thing aluminium, by all means go for it. You all already have an idea of pricing and what you're getting yourself into. At the same time, you must also keep in mind that when manufacturers release these aluminium hop-ups or carbon fiber hop-ups, it's not just an alternative to the plastic, or it's not just an upgrade from the plastic. It also has a lot of technical ability, or it's an upgrade to the technical side of your chassis. It's also giving you more tuning options, so you can fine tune your chassis even more than the plastic parts that your chassis already comes with. So there's certainly some aluminium upgrades that you'll want to get, because it provides that amount of tuning ability. So definitely look into that. At the same time, as I've mentioned a little bit earlier, please remember, you're going to go full aluminium, you better be prepared to. Aluminium hop-ups may not necessarily be all, but it's never really, it's sometimes not that expensive either. So when you want to go fully hop-up, I'd suggest you get the most critical parts first. Lower arms, upper arms, knuckles, steering, shock towers. I think so. Just my opinion. But yeah, those for me, those are the critical parts that you wanna get going first, and then get the rest of the stuff. So yeah, look to that. It'll be very interesting. Sometimes drifting can be an expensive game, guys. Can be an expensive game. So again, let's hear what you guys think of the RCR kits compared to the fully hop-ups. Do we need it? What do you think? Let us know. The last couple things I'd like to touch on is with regards to the track again. Guys, I don't know about you, but over the last couple of years, I'd say, let's go back 2 years. I've heard of so many drift tracks globally, and it kind of it makes me very heartsore, and it breaks my heart when I hear about tracks closing down, and not for a serious reason like the rent is up and the landlord refuses to renew the contract or renew the rental contract, or maybe the owner has passed on and therefore they're selling the property where the track is at, that kind of thing. What really breaks my heart is tracks closing down because people stopped supporting the track, as in they stopped going to the track anymore. That's like the worst kind of death for a drift track ever. Guys, it's so important to support your local drift track. So important. Again, it all adds to the longevity of the club, longevity of the hobby, and longevity of this whole hobby as a whole. For generations, you're not gonna see drift cars again. And what it does mean as well is that you're killing a hobby or an activity for your community. Think about it that way. By you supporting your local track, you're not just supporting the track itself, you're actually adding value to your local community and local neighborhood in terms of external activities, extracurricular activities. We can't only be stuck at home in our consoles, on our PS4s and our Xboxes and PCs, playing games like Assetto and Forza and Need for Speed and stuff like that. Guys, there's a whole world out there, outside our doors, just waiting to be explored and lived in. And drifting isn't just about taking your car and hitting the track. It's also a very social hobby, an incredible social hobby. I found myself many times hitting the track and drifting, being at the trackside for hours on end, and drifting at most for about an hour, and then the rest of the time just socializing. Socializing with my friends, talking about drifting, or just talking about themselves, talking about what's going on in our lives, sharing and caring with the next guy. That's how you grow the hobby. That's how you grow the brotherhood, and that's how you grow drifting, guys. Look, another friend of mine has sent in some really nice comments, some really nice feedback, and I think I've spoken quite a bit, so I want to leave that and give it a little bit more attention in my next episode. Guys, let's hear a little bit more about what you guys are running, what you think about upgrading and hop-ups. What's going on at your local track? Has your local track closed down? How are you supporting the track? And are you getting the kind of enjoyment from the track, from your local track that you are looking for? So let's hear about that as well. Remember, guys, track etiquette, very important. Always adhere to the track rules. Also, watch out for the new guy. Watch out for that awkward-looking, lonely guy who's looking around and not quite sure what he wants to do or not quite sure what to do. Let's help each other out, guys, and grow this hobby. Thank you, everybody, again for listening. I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support and the feedback. Please send me more feedback. Follow me on Facebook or you can catch me on Instagram as well. If you follow me, I always follow back. And again, all the episodes air on a Monday at 5:30 p.m. Central African time. Just remember, share the link. Let's get this info out there. Get people talking about RC drifting again. Let's get more people involved. Let's encourage and not discourage people from RC drifting. Let's grow the hobby together and let's have fun with it, guys. So this is your boy Bob Rock on the B-Rock RC show. It's a live podcast for the drifter, by a drifter. Thank you again for listening in. Catch you next time. Remember, keep drifting fun. Peace!